Hey everyone, Zan here, and welcome back. Um, so first of all, I just wanted to apologize for the delay for this video. I actually just got promoted this week, and had about 10 people put under me. So I was really busy at work trying to get them all caught up and get them started on our project and everything. So I just really haven't had time to record. Actually, that's not entirely true. I also did a little bit of a playthrough as Germany, and actually I went ahead and finished that playthrough last night. Uh, it took me about 8 hours to finish that. And actually playing that kind of made me question whether what I really wanted to do with this playthrough. Um, because it really turned into just a massive, massive slog. In fact, I'm actually gonna show you. I did play it to all the way through 1948 because that's how long it took. And I played that game with historical AI focuses, and you can see um, I conquered all of. I beat both the Allies and Soviets, and it really see, I'm in January 1948. I think I finished basically everything that I wanted to do by June or July of 1947. It took me that long because basically what happened was um, once I beat France and ended up invading Great Britain and then all everything else. Basically, the British Raj took over control of the war at that point, which I was really just completely unexpecting. I was expecting once I took over Great Britain, that would be the end of it. Um, that wasn't the case, and it really, I had to declare, I had to go through Russia to get to the British Raj. So that's the route I ended up taking that way. Which meant I had to slog through like 2 years or whatever of the war against Russia, pushing them all the way to the Urals, while Japan basically sat there doing literally nothing. Now I don't want to complain about Japan in this game because they were actually super useful. Them in Italy, they're the AI, but they were super useful and just holding down the fort basically. Anyway, so it took 2 years or so to go through this, go through Russia and finally force them to capitulate. Then I went through Iran to open up, and Iran and Afghanistan to open up a larger front against India. Um, Japan. While I'm working my way uh, through Iran and Afghanistan, Japan, who is the war leader, because they originally were the ones that declared war, I think, on the British. I don't think I can. Can I see that? It was a long time ago. They declared war on the Netherlands, and then the Netherlands joined. No, they did declare war on the UK as well later on. So they were the war leader. So they started fabricating claims on Finland and Sweden and Norway just randomly, which they never even sent over troops to help. So I had to beat them with all my troops down here, which took forever to get them up there and everything. And then we did finally end up making India capitulate. and then Canada took over as war leader. So I had to take forever to get my troops from India back to the coast over here to launch a naval invasion of Canada. Something weird happened where I had made the U.S. fascist, and they declared war on Chile at some point. I wasn't really paying attention. I accepted Chile into the Axis and ended up going to war with the U.S., who fascist U.S. then ended up joining the Allies alongside Mexico and Canada. So when I launched the invasion of Canada, I had to fight both the U.S. and Canada just to establish a beachhead, which was so awful. It was literally like the worst thing ever. It probably took a year just to finally be able to push, because I started in Halifax and then I tried to go north, to northern Quebec here, and there was just not enough supply to do anything. I was trying to go around this way to help out the guys that were in Halifax. It just didn't work out. Anyway, eventually it took like a year or so to finally push through to Quebec to join up this force, and then obviously the US and Canada are freaking huge, so it took like another 2 or 3 years to force them to capitulate. In fact, Canada wouldn't capitulate until I took I think it's Vancouver. It's Vancouver, right? Yeah, until I took Vancouver from them. So I had to walk literally across the entire continent to get there. Um, and it really just turned into a huge slog. I actually dropped like 4 nukes in this playthrough. You can see I'm sitting at like 500,000 infantry equipment, 250,000 weapons 3, 225,000 weapons 2, because at that point my production is just huge. I've got 1,371 factories. I got to the point I just stopped adding factories because I didn't have anything to produce. I'm producing so much of everything. Um, I've got all the resources I could ever want, except for I don't know why I'm importing chromium, um, except for maybe a little bit of chromium here, maybe a little bit of tungsten, maybe a little bit of aluminum. If I yeah, no, I've got all the resources I could ever want. And it just became this super tedious grind to win the game. My production is basically just waiting for people to capitulate. Once I finally forced the US, actually, when I forced the US to capitulate, I got a random peace conference with just the US, even though they were a part of the Allies, which I don't know how that happened or what. Um, But then once we forced Canada to capitulate and Mexico to capitulate, Australia, who was holding on to literally just this southern portion where my troops are now, just New South Wales and Victoria, because the Japanese and Italians that are here just decided they didn't feel like finishing them off, had to set up a naval invasion to go take care of that. Um, Luckily, I didn't have to invade New Zealand, even though they were part of the Allies, but it really just became this massive slog that took way, way too long for no reason. And so I think that's why having having conquered China as Japan, I really don't want to have to make you guys sit through this slog of a game from here on out, having to try and either go to war with the Soviet Union, who, if we go north, we're literally gonna have to conquer the entire country because all of their victory points are in the west. And since we're not allied with Germany because we formed our own faction, that's never gonna happen. If we go to war with the Allies, we've got France, UK, Netherlands, all down here, Australia, and then and maybe I guess the British Raj, and then we've got to go all the way through Africa, and then maybe we'll make it to Europe. It's not really feasible. If we go through the U.S., we probably have the same issues as, as fighting the Soviet Union. Basically, we'll land on the in California, Washington, Oregon, whatever. But then we have to go all the way across the continent to get to Washington, Pennsylvania, New York, Boston, Detroit, Chicago, all that. It's just really going to turn into a massive slog. And I really don't want to, firstly, I don't want to go through it again. And I don't necessarily want to speak for you guys, but I don't want to want you guys to just get bored and stop watching at that point. I don't think it's going to be worthwhile to finish this playthrough. I think we're just going to stop right here. And I'm going to go ahead and offer up my, I guess, final thoughts at this point. I've got about, I think, 25, 30 hours into HoI4. And it really, it suffers the same problem that, in my opinion, all of the Paradox games suffer from. And especially, it has the same kind of issues as Stellaris that was released just last month. Actually, I guess. Yeah, it was last month. Um, and it's that the early game is super interesting, super great. Uh, you can really take your nation anywhere. And then you get to a certain point, and it's just either you're super powerful, and it's just a slog of eventually you're gonna win. It's just how long is it gonna take? Like I got to in my Germany game, or how we are, and kind of the same point that we are here as Japan, or it's the everything around you is just too powerful for you to really take on, and you're just kind of boxed in, and there's no real way to meaningfully expand. And I mean, even if I take Singapore, even if I take Sumatra, I get the massive amounts of rubber from those. Uh, then maybe go for the oil in Iran or something. It's just going to be such a massive slog at that point to then actually force these guys take the necessary victory points. Again, those are going to be all in Europe, to really force them to surrender. And you know it's the way the game is set up. There's no, I think you can do like a pseudo white peace type thing and take minimal gains, but I haven't really fidgeted around with it. I don't know that, I haven't seen anybody do it, and maybe it is something that I could have done in this playthrough. Um, but really, I don't have the passion to continue this, and I don't think that you guys will enjoy watching it if we do continue to slog it through this game. Um, Eventually, we'll get to the point where our production is just meaningless. We're just producing massive amounts of everything. Uh, so it doesn't really matter what we're producing, as long we'll just end up literally producing everything on like 30 factories, 45, 60 factories on everything, and just have 500,000 extra infantry equipment that's just sitting there. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the game. Really great in the opening phases. I'm sure it's still fine. in the mid game where, like, at this point, really, we have the world. The world's our oyster. We could really do whatever we want. It's just that whatever we want is gonna eventually turn into this late game slog where either I get my ass kicked and just lose everything, or it's gonna take probably 5 years to do any of the routes I have. It's probably gonna take 5 years to beat the Soviet Union. It's definitely gonna take forever to eventually make our way to the UK and France. We probably would have some help with Germany and maybe Italy and nationalist Spain, but then we're not gonna actually get anything out of it. Um, and it's definitely gonna take a while to beat the US, especially because right now we're using them to import a lot of stuff, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the oil is coming from them. We could do it from Russia or Iran probably, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I do really like this game. I really like the Hearts of Iron series. It's just I don't think at this point that it's refined enough and interesting enough to warrant going further than this. I don't want to sit here at speed 5 for a decade just waiting for my troops to eventually get enough victory points for everything to capitulate. It's not engaging. It's not fun to play through. And I sure as hell wouldn't want to watch it if I was on the other side. So this is where we're going to stop. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have been great so far. Really, I know was not exactly been super successful, uh, but I really wasn't even expecting as many views and likes, and I got 2 subscribers. I was really not expecting that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and liking and subscribing and everything. And hopefully we'll see you guys in the future. Oops, that's me hitting my mic. Um, Hopefully you guys will be interested when I play some other games like Dark Souls or something like that I want to bring to the channel. I probably will definitely come back to Hearts of Iron in the future, maybe after DLC or something like that. Um, Probably hit on EU4. Maybe go back to some Victoria too. We'll see. Anyways, thank you guys so much, and I'll